Hey everybody, it's Dr. Doug Texter. Welcome to week 2. This week we're going to talk about our first paper topic that we'll be working with for the next couple of weeks. Our paper topic is national service. And you might ask, what is that? Good question. Here's the answer. National service is a proposal that would make all 18 to 22-year-olds give 2 years of their lives to serving the country, either in the military or in civil service. Civil service could include things like working in a nursing home, being a teacher's aide, working on a road project, or doing any other public work that needs to be done. Okay, so that's basically our topic. I'm going to put it at the end of this week and the beginning of next in the stasis for you and give you a specific argument to write about. This week, though, I'm going to ask you to do some brainstorming on this topic using the discussion board. So I'm going to break you up into 4 groups, and I'm going to ask each group to work on a different question from the 4 questions. And all you have to do, working individually, is post your response, a couple answers to the question that your particular group has. Okay, so the 4 questions are, just to review, questions of conjecture, questions of definition, questions of quality, questions of policy. Let me drill down into each of these for you and give you some examples of what I'm looking for. Okay, so questions of conjecture. Does it exist? Is it true? Where did it come from? How did it begin? What is its cause? Can it be changed? Okay, so let's take a look at some of these. Does it exist? Well, it does in other countries like Great Britain. I'm sorry, not Great Britain, but Germany, Israel, other countries in Europe and South America. People do owe 2 years of their lives to the government, to national public service. Okay, where did it come from? Well, there's a couple ways you could approach this. One, you could approach it from a needs basis. Are there things that need to be done in this country that are not getting done? One could argue there are. Our roads are not in good shape. We have older people who don't have anyone to take care of them. We have teachers who do not have the proper assistance. So you could say, hey, there's a need for this labor. The other way that it could, where does it come from? Is there a perception that people in this country don't have a sense of collective identity? One could argue that there is, that we don't really care about each other in some ways. Now, one could also argue we don't need to care about each other. We pay our taxes and that's quite enough. Thank you very much. But some people have argued that we don't have a sense of belonging. We don't feel a duty to each other anymore, and that national service could come from that. So you could approach, where did it come from in either of those 2 ways? What is its cause? What caused people to even think about this? Can it be changed? Well, we don't have it in this country. We could have it in this country. That's one thing we could do. So let's move on to questions of definition. What kind of thing or event is this? When you're coming up with a stance on a topic, how you categorize the topic often leads to the kinds of arguments you can develop. Let me give you an example. National service. Is it a form of public service? Is it a duty? Is it a responsibility? Or is it slavery? Is it oppression? Is it a form of taxation? Depending on how you think of this topic can determine the kinds of arguments you can make. So questions of definition. Then questions of quality. Is it right or is it wrong? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? You could approach it from a consequences perspective. Well, if we have this, we'll get things done that we're not getting done now. You could also approach it from the consequence perspective of people will feel really oppressed and there'll be revolts and riots. You could also approach it from the perspective of just the act itself. Is serving others a good thing? Then you might, if you think it is, then you might go, hey, this is a great idea. So is it good or bad? Is it sought or avoided? Is it honorable or dishonorable? Those are all questions for you to think about if you're in group 3. Then finally, policy. What do we do? Should some action be taken? Given the rhetorical situation, what actions are possible or desirable? Let's talk about that one for a minute. Sure, Congress could come out and say, tomorrow morning, all 18 to 22-year-olds must do national service. Think of the larger rhetorical frameworks in this country. Do you ever hear people saying, hey, I should serve my fellow human? No, usually what you hear them say is, hey, I should do my own thing. I want to develop my own goals, my own talents, my own ideas. So what's possible? given the way we talk about freedom, the way we talk about personal responsibility and personal choice. So think about that. Okay, so those are some of the ways to approach the 4 questions. This week, for this topic, all you need to do is post on the discussion board, depending on which question I assign you to. And together, we'll take a look and see how this could generate a huge list of possible paper topics, paper arguments about national service. Okay, so that'll get us started for this week. And take a look at the discussion board, and let's get started. Welcome to week 2.